Okay, so the only thing that could possibly change when the MWRD permit does get issued, they could require possibly more curb to isolate
Sure.
water maybe?
Sure.
You know, so I
Yeah,
mean,
we don't know.
that would go on to the permit then
Yeah,
Yeah.
at that time.
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We will. That's on the, that's further down. Okay. Questions from the audience?
Adam Chudzik, Adam, Chudzik, address 4252 North Octavia Avenue, OCTAVIA. I have a question regarding the variances. Do I understand correctly that there is a variance, or there is a requirement in this PUD to have shrubbery or some kind of greenery between the building and the parking lots, and between the, I guess the, that would be the sidewalk and the parking lot? Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in the event that, would it be possible for you to live with simply a variance eliminating the one from the building to the parking lot? Why do you need the one between the sidewalk and the parking lot? Would that?
It's hard to see, but these, we're proposing to have 1, 2, 3 parking spaces here. If we put in the 8-foot landscape barrier, landscape island here, we wouldn't be able to have those spaces. So in answer to your question, yes, it is possible. It would just cut down on the parking that we're allowed to have, which ultimately wouldn't cripple the business, but would be an inconvenience for customers. But yes, we could do that.
And what were the hours where customers could come in?
So, office hours, so when the office will be open, it'll be 8:30 in the morning till 6 at night, and there's nothing written in stone. Generally what we do is we try to listen to our customers, but it's never before 7 a.m. and it's never after 9. So we have some sites where it is 8:30 until 6.
So as early as 7 and as late as
It
9?
would not be any earlier than 7.
Right.
That I can promise.
And one last question regarding, there was discussions about how this would impact Iggy's. There was something about a fence. Brian was talking about it, I think you guys were talking about it. Could you elaborate a little bit on what the deal is there? Would Iggy's have to give up part of its fence, or what was that all about?
I can maybe speak to it if you'd like me to.
We're going to get to that one a little later in our discussion,
All right.
because it's a whole
Yeah.
All
other
right.
issue, but
Okay.
Iggy's kind of encroaching on their land anyway.
Okay.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
We will get to that discussion because we need to come to
Sure.
There you go.
decision. And we have no further questions at this point. Let us turn to the first variance that we need, which is the request for a special use. These, and on the copy of the ordinance that we're working on, it's on page 4. The ordinance draft, I should have been clear with that. The purpose of the special use is to allow retail sales in what is an M manufacturing district of materials associated with moving and storage, boxes, packaging, that type of thing, subject to conditions that would be set forth in the ordinance. Are there any questions or comments about retail sales from the board?
I don't have a question, just a comment. I mean, it is only going to strictly be moving.
That's it. And just to give you guys a sense,
No
if,
food.
no,
anything
it'll be bubble wrap,
Well,
cardboard boxes, tape, and in a great year, we'll sell $2,000 worth. So it's customers who come in who have their mover breaks something or runs out of tape, and they run in. You know, instead of having to run to the Target and go through 150,000, we want to have them there just as a convenience.
thank you, understand.
Now, those of you who've been at other zoning hearings have already experienced the fact that there is a thing that we call findings. And before we can make any ruling, we need to ensure that, if approved, any potential request would be in compliance with these findings. There are some specific ones for a retail special use, and I'm going to go through those and we'll check with the board to make sure we see no issues with them. The retail special use would be in harmony with the general and specific purposes for which this zoning ordinance was enacted and for which the regulations of the district in question were established. Any problem? Will not have a substantial or undue adverse effect upon adjacent property, the character of the area, or the public health, safety, and general welfare. Not an issue. Will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the adjacent property for uses permitted in the district. Will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as streets, public utilities, drainage structures, police and fire protection, refuse disposal, parks, libraries, and schools, or the applicant will provide adequately for such services. Not an issue. You'll have moderate garbage to be disposed of.
And it'll all be in the loading
I'll be in the loading zone. And finally, complies with all additional standards imposed on it by the particular provision of the zoning ordinance authorizing such use. Mr. Gager, are you aware of any additional requirements that would be added to this? Board?
No.
Okay, so that there is no issue with that finding either. One thing about a special use is that it runs with the use and not with the land. So in the event that the lockup would decide to sell the building, they didn't want to be in that building anymore, that retail special use would go away. And the next purchaser would have to go through the process from scratch. They would not inherit that special use.
Understood.
Then may I have a motion from the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance. First letter B.
For the special use, okay.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Jarvis. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Fontanaro?
Yes.
Mr. Jerish?
Yes.
Mr. Miroslav, yes. Mr. Ronstadt?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Matheson?
Yes. The board will recommend to the Board of Trustees that the variance for the special use for retail sales be approved. Okay. Let us move on then to the variances specifically related to the landscaping and fencing requirements. Article 11A 6.3C1, minimum landscape requirements for off-street parking lots and masonry screen walls. Providing for a masonry wall for perimeter screening to a minimum height of 30 inches, maximum height of 36. The variance is requesting instead to install a 4-foot tall wrought iron fence along Montrose and a 6-foot wrought iron type security fence along the west and north lot lines in lieu of the masonry screening wall. The village engineer has concurred with this request based on the conditions of the site. Where's the findings on this one? Should have done separately. Okay, then we have to.
Yes, one, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And one is a separate one, which is just the parking lot buffer and screen. This is for the small island up on the Montrose side.
I'm sorry, I'm working through the ordinance sequence, so it's a slightly different sequence from theirs. Findings for each, okay, page 8. You're going to get very used to hearing findings. For the variance of this type,
Ian,
yeah,
let me ask you a question.
oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Question on your buffer at the rear of the property, where you're requesting that 6-foot high fence along there. That's 4 6 security, what is the depth of that buffer that is there? And the reason I'm going at that is your property is unique. One of the unique properties on that street is it fronts two streets.
Right.
And the way I look at it is the back of your property almost has to be considered the same as the front of your property, because when they develop a building next to you that faces Agathite, that you kind of have to blend into that facade that'll be on that street eventually. So one of the things I couldn't determine from this is what that buffer, landscape buffer actually is out there.
I think he's looking up the answer right now. I don't want to guess and be wrong.
And the 6-foot high fence is just a security
That's right.
measure rather than anything else.
Correct.
A part of me wants to say that that fence should be lower so that because it faces the street, and we have a section in our ordinance, it's on page 64. 3G, which is, addresses a 4-foot high wrought iron fence located on the perimeter area of a planned unit development where the perimeter area of the planned unit development property is adjacent to any public street, sidewalk, may be required in combination with any type of screening method. So that's part of why you're coming in for a variance is to get away from that and go to a higher security fence.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, generally, it's a deterrent. I mean, what we're trying to prevent against is a kid who jumps the fence and
Mhm.
scribbles some graffiti on the sidewall. And
Mhm.
just commonsensically, a 4-foot fence isn't much of a deterrent.
Mhm.
Again, if that's a make or break issue, I can make it 4 feet. It's just not as much of a deterrent.
Yes, I was just, and like I said, I was just wondering what that landscape was.
It's from the property line to the curb, the existing edge of pavement, approximately 5 feet, give or take. I don't have the exact here, but
Okay, so it's roughly a 5-foot.
roughly 5 foot, and that's existing. So all the curves we're showing, all that's all existing edge of pavement.
Mhm.
So there would be vegetation
And-
around.
But there is enough room back there to make that the required 8-foot buffer as.
Does that affect the turning radius, Jeremy?
If,
If it doesn't, I don't have any problem. Then I'm fine with
yeah, because you've got 26 feet or
Yeah.
almost 27 feet there.
it. Okay. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
But it is a 5-foot, so that's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Track here.
One comment.
And I don't have your name.
sorry, Jeremy Hall, Partners in Design Architects.
Generally, when we design the radiuses, it's for a fire truck. Those tend to have the biggest radius, the big ladder trucks.
It's a topic that's, we're very aware of. We
Yeah.
just had a major fire a couple days ago. Going with an 8-foot buffer in the back instead of a 5
I'm just,
or
I just wanted the determination of it, actually what it was, because it wasn't called out in the drawings that we have. We do allow for a 5-foot if it's a masonry